Hello and welcome to The King's Dilemma Chronicles. If you would like to check out the game, there is a link in the description, and as far as I'm aware, you can download the demo and play it. Otherwise, you can add it to your Steam wishlist. And now this is a very choice-based, heavy narrative game. And we're just going to start the game right quick, and so you can get to see exactly what's going on. So this is a very rich world building kind of game as well, so we're going to have a lot of backstory in the introduction here, and it's going to give you a nice brief overview of all of the factions that you're going to be interacting with. You are playing as an advisor of the king, and you need to try and give as best advice as you can with the limited resources that you have available. You also need to make sure that those resources are either balanced, or you need to go for something that is a bit more on the side of how you want to play. For example, are you greedy? Do you want to get as much money as possible? Do you want to get as much military strength as possible? Do you want to betray people? Do you want to make alliances? Do you want to corrupt others? And so on. There's a lot of different choices to make in this game. Anyway, welcome to the kingdom of Ankist, a place of daring expeditions, gruesome battles, and arcane mysteries. Located in the northern continent of Lywick, Ankist is one of the largest kingdoms of the known world, but it's not the only one. The kingdom of Muir to the northwest advanced both culturally and technologically. The small and harmless kingdom of Sidlada to the south with its stingy lands. The Republic of Calpias to the northeast with commercial abilities beyond imagination. The Kasukian Empire to the distant east where the emperor lives in opulence while the people struggle. The southern continent, barely explored, is only known for the fierce ivory desert and the tales and legends shared by the few foreign travelers venturing to our lands. Ankist has been enjoying several decades of peace, but less than 2 centuries ago it was divided into many small kingdoms and raider tribes, conquered in wars or united by diplomacy over the centuries to be incorporated as duchies or marks. Little is known about what happened before this age of fragmentation, but what we know for sure is that all of the lands of the known world were ruled by several lost civilizations throughout the ages. What caused these civilizations to fall is unclear. You are going to assume the role of the head of the council, a governing body ruling in the name of the king located in Libra, the capital city of Ankist. Before you begin, take a quick test to determine the house that suits you best. So here's also what's going to happen. Every single decision that you make is going to cost power. And now here's the thing. If you go against the easy route, so for example, if you say something that a lot of other people do not agree with, then you're going to have to use power, which is a limited resource that you get at the start. Now, what you can also do is you also gain relation with various other houses within the game. So, for example, let's say that I make a decision that benefits trade. Well, then the Merchants Guild and the merchant factions are going to very much like what I've done. And as a result, their relation with me is going to increase, and then I might even be able to create some kind of alliance with them. So that's basically the sort of a quick rundown of it. But here's the thing: this game is actually it looks very simple from like, you know, the outset, but it has so much hidden depth that you will discover as you delve deeper and deeper into its mechanics. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, let's do the test. In a financial crisis, is it moral to sacrifice knowledge in order to save money? Alright, so this is the point. What I've already played a little bit of this, and the demo is not particularly long. It does give you a pretty significant amount of a look into the gameplay, but what I would recommend in general is you don't really have an idea as to what kind of situation this is. Because in a financial crisis, well, what kind of financial crisis? What are we actually dealing with here? And what kind of knowledge are we going to sacrifice? How much money are we going to save? I'm not sure whether these particular decisions really weigh too heavily in our decision making, but you never know. Anyway, I'm going to say yes, we will do that, just in case. Is it okay to restrict certain religious practices that clash with the established cult? I'm going to say no. If a neighboring country gets invaded, do we step in to support them? And that's another case, because I'm thinking to myself, well, what if the neighboring country is doing something really bad within their own borders, and we're supposed to go in there and help the citizens? Who knows, right? But from how this is worded, it says, do we step in to support them? In other words, they're obviously a peaceful country, they're being invaded just purely by barbarians or, by some kind of bandit force or something like that, who knows. So yeah, why not? We'll go and support them. With childbirth on the decline, do we strongly incentivize families to have children? No, they can do whatever they want. Anyway, there we are. Okay, so now we have the ability to choose between two different houses, as you can see right here. So we have Dualak or Solad. And you can select info here to see exactly what's going on with both of these houses. Huge amounts of background lore here. I'm not going to read all of that, but there is a lot of background lore there. And same thing with this. Personally, for me, I'm going to be going for Solad because nothing is as it appears. Sounds kind of cool. So I like that slogan, so that's exactly what we're going to go for here. A group of scholars in Libra recently discovered that ancient chronicles often blame a black circle, a dark rising sun, a cursed eclipse, or other similar images for causing the demise of many past empires. After observing similar clues in recent years, historians started speculating about the existence of a secret society that has been leading civilizations to oblivion for centuries. This organization is referred to as the Black Dawn. Some think they are a force of chaos, others view them as an engine for creative destruction, and some view them as the heralds of a new dawn, harbingers of progress and change. Whatever their true nature is, it seems they were here before, and will outlive Ankist. Some wonder about their role in our kingdom, and only time will tell if they truly are a threat. As head of the council, you have the power to shape the future of this kingdom, but the Black Dawn is lurking in the shadows. Its existence is threatening, and yet intriguing. Your role is to inform the king about the decisions of the council, but it is within your power to alter them if you so wish, provided you have enough power. See, now that's exactly what I was talking about. Power is your limited resource, and you're going to need to use that if you very adamantly disagree with what the council is going to do. Anyway, it's time to begin. A new king is about to be crowned. How will the future of Ankist unfold? And now bear in mind that kings are going to rise and kings are going to fall throughout your advisory tenure, I guess you could kind of call it. Anyway, the trumpets strike 3 rising notes and 81 doves are released as Harold V is crowned king by the prior mother of the cult. The people erupt in a cheer of joy. Our hopes of enduring prosperity are renewed with a new king. Foreign dignitaries from Kasuk, Calpius, Sidlada, and Muir crowd the royal castle to evaluate the new king and win his favor. The ceremony is followed by a feast lasting for 3 days and nights along all the streets of Libra, our capital city. A week later, sitting on his throne behind the grand chiseled door of the council room, the new king addresses us for the first time. Any authority is flickering, and power can be a blessing or a curse for those on whom it is exercised, he says. After a long pause, he adds, Ruling is an unsolvable dilemma. And now that has been added to our archives. So basically adding it to the archives means that we now have the opportunity to go from a variety of different places. For example, the world map, Ankist itself, which is obviously our kingdom, and Libra, which is of course our capital city. So we can decide on any number of different things. Now, here's the thing. There are so many different ways to go about things. And these are all of the various, these are all different chapters. The game does not really tell you that much about what these things are. There is a tutorial and it is very in-depth, so I'd highly recommend checking that out if you want to learn more. But otherwise, there's a lot of different chronicles here as well. For example, influence, wealth, morale, welfare, and knowledge. And then you also have mysteries here too. And then you also have the encyclopedia, which basically tells you about the politics, the society, regions of the world, the religion, and the history of the world as well. And there's also very, very large amounts of pages that you can go through too. And this is obviously, as I said, the world map. I can actually go over here, and you can even see exactly what kind of relation we have with the various other houses as well. And you can see here that we have a pretty bad relation with these fellows at the moment, but that's actually not a big deal. But now here's the thing: you see these circular little what is that? Well, basically it's money. All right, it's money. They are called crave. Okay, crave. That is the name of the currency in the game, and you can use this. You can use this currency to be able to unlock various options that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise. For example, let's say that we want to reveal the narrative goal of Olwyn. It's going to cost me 10 crave to be able to do that. Also, forming an alliance with them would be 10 crave as well. What I'd personally like to see is if you have good relation with a particular faction or house, I would like to see the cost be reduced as a way to reflect that. I believe that that is actually the case. I'm not entirely sure, but otherwise, this is preparations. Okay, these are your preparations. So basically, this is your research tree or your upgrade tree, and over the course of the game, you're going to be able to spend white crowns and black crowns to be able to upgrade various things. And this is going to obviously determine a variety of your statistics and attributes, and it's going to make things better or worse, dependent on what you choose to do, of course. And yeah, sometimes preparations are also going to cost crave. So yeah, anyway, that was just a very brief description of what's actually going on there. And obviously, as you can see here, we have 8 out of 8 power. That is our power right there. Anyway, let's go for the King's Dilemma 1. The Royal Marshal reports to us that 3 windmills were set on fire last night along the road between Libra and the Golden Harbour. The affected millers are asking for help rebuilding their windmills. Do we fund the reconstruction of the damaged windmills? Well, that's the question. Do we want to do that, or do we not want to do that? Every single one of the factions on the left say yes. We should fund that, and you can see here that if I want to override all of them and say no, it's going to cost me half of my power. Now bear in mind, power is a resource that is extremely valuable at the right moment. So it's probably not the best idea for me to spend it here, but if I desperately don't want to fund the reconstruction of the windmills, then I can obviously do that if we want to. But I'm not going to do that this time around, and instead we're going to say, yes, we will fund the construction. We're going to gain relation with every single person on the left side there. All the houses are going to be pretty happy with that. And as you can see, with the monetary help of the Crown, a small squad of carpenters is hired to rebuild the burned-out windmills with the most advanced techniques available. After the work, we are informed that they noticed the smell of an unknown alchemical substance at all 3 locations. In other words, it's arson. Yeah, someone burned down the windmill. That's the question. Is it actually the millers themselves? Did they actually burn it down themselves, or did someone want to burn it down? That's the question. We don't know. Do we have any preparations yet? I'm actually wanting to make sure that I keep on top of that, because the last time that I played, I didn't actually keep on top of it, and I missed out on a bunch of preparations earlier on in the game. Anyway, the High Commander has received a message from our soldiers stationed at the troublesome northern border of the Mark of Torque. Scarum smugglers are offering to provide us large quantities of red iron, a strange metal that can break even the strongest steel. The army wants the majority of it, but there is a lot of money to be made by trading it. Do we reserve the red iron, a strong metal, for the army? Okay, so now here we go. If I want to go with this, then I'm going to have to spend 2 power, because then I have to override these two factions right here, these 2 houses. Bear in mind that if I choose this, they're going to be losing relation as well. You know, they're going to be losing relation with us. And it's the question, do we want to have a strong metal for the army? Well, here's the thing. Spoiler, I already kind of know what happens if you say yes to this, because I actually said yes to this before. And basically what happens is you get some red iron, and your smiths are able to make a couple of weapons out of it, but they are only able to give a few of them to your most elite soldiers, and that's pretty much it. You can't outfit your entire force with this metal, because it is just so difficult to mold into what you need it to be. So this time around, I'm going to say no. And I'm going to see what happens, because I'm actually really interested to see what happens differently this time. A strong army requires a strong economy to fund it. The smugglers supply us with a constant flow of red iron from the mostly unexplored lands in the northern Fola Fua mountains. The unusual metal can be sold to the highest bidders on the open market for outrageous profits. To thank the king for the prosperous business, the smugglers gift him a masterful red iron sword named Scarlet Tide. The army soon elects the blade as its symbol and as a sign of its future power. A significant portion of the imported red iron starts flowing towards the royal armory, and military smiths begin experimenting with new ways of working with the sturdy metal. Because of its exceptional sturdiness, red iron is difficult to mold into weapons and armor, but a few blades are forged for the most elite regiments. Oh, okay, wait a minute. That's basically the same thing that happened before, when I selected yes, we want it for the army. So I guess it's just the thing on the right here. As you can see, this has now changed. Okay, I understand. Right, okay, so that's fine. That's actually fine. All right, so let me actually just have a quick look-see here. Okay, so this has actually changed what kind of dilemmas we are going to receive. Because here's the thing. You see this over here? This is your balance, right? This is your scale. Let me see. Can I actually go to... Yeah, I want to go to the tutorial. Okay, so here's the tutorial. Basically, it gives you a massive rundown of every single thing that you could ever want. And I believe this thing right here, yes, as you see, this is what happens with this. With each dilemma, the time counter on the right will increase. When it reaches a space identified by crave, or a circle, the king has a 50% chance of dying, or 100% if it reaches the final space. Right, yeah, so that's really, really useful to take note of, and you can choose your heir and all that wonderful stuff too. So I'm actually wanting to have a look-see here. Yeah, so momentum. If a resource is moved twice in the same direction, it will move one additional step. The icon color will show you the last direction that the resource moved. After the second time the resource moves in the same direction, it will gain a momentum marker and move 2 additional steps, in other words, over here. So you see that. Yeah, so there's a huge amount of depth, as you see, to manipulating all of these resources and manipulating the whole, the whole thing generally. So you have to be a bit careful. Anyway, value of might. Lawrence, an entrepreneur from Torque, led an expedition beyond the northern border to seek red iron mines, but we lost contact with him. Some suggest that we should send a military contingent to look for him. A very dangerous quest, as it could be seen as trespassing by the kingdom of Enkal, further to the north, with whom we have not had contact for decades, and whose military strength is unknown. Do we send the army to investigate the disappearance of Lawrence? Okay, now this is a pretty big deal. I'm not entirely sure whether we really want to do this. Their military strength is unknown. This could be seen, and just you know, it's pretty obvious, right? If you literally take your army and you put it on the border of an unknown faction, they're probably going to think you're trying to invade them, right? So I'm thinking we're probably not going to do it. Yeah, we're not going to do it. Mostly because I don't really want to have a war thing. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Okay, a few days later, the corpse of Lawrence arrives in Torque, bound to a horse with a red iron dagger in his back, holding a letter. Your men violated our mountains. A just sentence has been passed. The gory message is imprinted in red ink with the symbol of a gauntlet, the emblem of the kingdom of Enkal. We alert the army scouts to keep an eye on these aggressive neighbors. Alright, so that was actually perfect. In my opinion, that was the way to do things, because otherwise, I mean, you see how extremely, could we call them xenophobic? I don't know. They just really don't want contact with anyone. So we really, that was, we may have dodged a bullet there. Anyway, after we abandoned Lawrence and his smugglers to their fate, many of our merchants don't feel safe traveling outside the borders of the kingdom to seek new sources of profit. Alright, so we're going to be losing things there. We're going to be losing a little bit of merchant confidence. Okay, despite the relatively short distance, contact with the kingdom of Enkal was lost for decades. The bitter lands that divide us allow very few exchanges, and they never had much to offer anyway. Though they were a militaristic society, we considered the Enkali as inoffensive as the Skarams, nomadic tribes living in the unclaimed brown hills along our border. Yet despite their small numbers, it seems they've become a threat thanks to red iron. They must have discovered it only recently, but they mastered its harvesting and smithing much better than we. The scouts we sent even sighted an impressive fortress reinforced with huge red iron plates they call the Crimson Keep. Okay, that's a bit problematic, as I said. That's actually the reason why I was wanting to be very, very cautious. Because if you think about, you know, what would have happened, what if we sent the army there? They may have declared open war. They might have declared open war, and as you can quite clearly tell, they have advanced weapons for a lot of their technology, and they're much better suited and more capable in utilizing it than we are. So it's going to be a big, big problem for us, potentially. Anyway, so now we have even more dilemmas to go through here. And thankfully, my king is actually still alive and still on the throne. I'll tell you this, in my previous playthrough that I had my king just leave. He just left the throne after 2 dilemmas, I think, because I made some poor choices, I suppose. Anyway, Iron that Pierces the Sky 1. I want to see what happens with this. The Tribune reports to us that an unprecedented drought has hit Tyrol, ravaging crops and decimating the cattle. The price of bread has increased to the point that many among the poorest can't afford it. But the Kingdom of Muir is offering us uncannily cheap wheat. Importing it would save the poorest from starvation, but its low price is suspicious. Do we import low-priced Murian wheat? Oh, I was gonna say yes anyway, but it's suspicious. I mean, I'm gonna be the first to say that I think it's suspicious, but we're gonna do it just because we need to make sure that our people are are fed. Obviously, otherwise, what are we doing? Anyway. Importing Murian wheat, however cheaply, is an unexpected expense that makes the royal treasurer turn up his nose. The poorest fringes of the population in Tyrol, however, are relieved by the announcement. The drought has impacted food reserves in all of our duchies. Importing grain was our only chance to help Tyrol. Muir is a small but rather advanced kingdom. They claim that they developed a new fertilizer that allowed them to greatly increase their wheat production without compromising on quality. Yet the Murian wheat we are importing is suspiciously grey as ash, as is the flour obtained from it. Oh dear. Tyrillians complain that Muir is insulting them with poor goods because of the historical bad blood between them, but the poorest outcasts are glad that they have something to eat, and do not care about the color of their bread. Ooh, okay, I was a bit worried that there would be something sinister going on there, but apparently it's okay. Possibly. I'm not sure. Okay, so now I think something's going to happen now. I think our king might have some issues, possibly. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. Anyway, oh, hello. Okay, so we've got Dark Harvest number 2. This is not available at the moment in the demo. Dark Harvest number 1, unfortunately, so we can do this one. And I'm going to spend 3 crave to do this. During the night, thieves emptied a granary full of grey wheat in the village of Abnet, in the Mark of Tyrol. The symbol of a stylized sun was found branded into the front door. We could locate some of the guards patrolling the rich neighborhoods of Vandis, the capital of Tyrol, to protect our precious granaries. Do we reassign the guards to protect the granaries? Well, that's the question. Do we want to do that? I think everyone seems to be pretty happy with this, apart from these houses over here. I'm thinking probably yes. I think that makes sense, because we literally just imported this stuff. We don't really want to lose it now, right? So let's just do that. We attach more guards to patrol the granaries in Abnet, and no further reports of theft or vandalism are received. Okay, that's good. Ever since we relocated the guards to protect the granaries, thieves can more easily prey on the rich people of Vandis. Oh dear. Well, that's obviously a bit problematic, but... yes. Okay, so this is exactly what I was talking about. So as you can see, the time of our king is now over, and he has abdicated. Okay, so now here's what happens when a king leaves the throne, either by death or by abdication or succession or something like that. You then have the opportunity to choose your next king's personality, so to speak. So you can kind of see exactly what's going on here. And this is all determined by your previous choices, as far as I can tell. So in other words, you can see here, rebel, moderate, opportunist. These all provide you different gameplay benefits across the board. So for example, let's say that we wanted to play as a rebel king. It's going to give you 1 white crown and one white crown for every resource in the upper area of the track, and 1 black crown for every resource in the lower area of the track. So if you want to if you want to gain one particular resource over the other, then you could try to manipulate the resources accordingly and gain those crowns that you need. I'm going to personally go for moderate, mostly because I want to get the benefits of that almost immediately. And now we can also go over to our preparations. So these are our preparations right here. So for example, we can research castle security. And we can, in terms of defense and security, the castle is somewhat lacking. Hiring some experts will allow the construction of adequate measures. This is going to cost me 1 white crown and 1 black crown. We can also build a food pantry, a place where people in need can go for a free meal. I think that sounds like a good idea, so let's do that. Why not? And that's going to get built over a little bit of time. We can also build a royal treasure room, where we can store the riches of the kingdom in a secret room inside the castle keep. Or we can do this. Studying the terrain around the capital of Ankist will allow the construction of underground structures and tunnels. That sounds fun. Let's do that. There we go. And we can also research castle security too. So we can do all of that, and these are all in progress, as you can see, and they're all going to be done over time. And then apart from that, we can have a look-see at the world map. You can see here we can do the King's Dilemma number 3, or we can do Iron that Pierces the Sky number 2. We could do Dark Harvest number 3. I'm actually kind of interested to see what happens with Dark Harvest. It is time to resupply the army. We could save money by mixing regular and grey wheat to produce the bread rations for our soldiers. Do we use a mix of cheap grey and regular wheat to feed our soldiers? Oh, I don't see the problem with actually doing that, to be honest, but apparently people don't like that? Why would they not like that? I mean, does it change how it tastes? I mean, that's the point. Does it? I don't know. Does it matter? I don't know. I'm going to use some of my power to say yes, because we do need to feed them in some way, don't we? Okay, well, whatever the case. Considerable amounts of cheap grey flour are diluted with regular and more valuable flour to produce the bread rations for our soldiers. Producing food for the army becomes remarkably cheaper, but the soldiers don't fail to notice the diminished quality of their food. Ah, so it is actually lower quality. Okay. We decided to feed our soldiers with cheap bread. Each morsel reminds them how little we care for their well-being, even as they risk their lives for us. Wow, okay, that was a harsh thing. I actually did not realize that was lower quality. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have. Oh well, whatever the case, I have a good amount of power, so I thought, hey, you know what? Let's spend it. I thought they were going to go hungry if we didn't do that, you see. Okay. Well, you live and learn, I suppose. You live and learn. All right, so let's have a look-see here. I'd really like to do Dark Harvest 1. I really want to see what happens there, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to. So let's go for Iron that pierces the sky. Increasingly, rumors of the fierce kingdom of Enkal worry our people. Many think we should recruit more soldiers among the peasants to patrol the unclaimed lands north of our border. Scholars believe we should instead investigate the customs of Enkal to ascertain whether they really are a menace and to clarify the misunderstanding caused by the smugglers. Do we recruit more peasants into the army? Well, probably not. I mean, I would prefer to resolve things diplomatically with these people because they are quite clearly more technologically advanced, and I don't really want to put ourselves in a kind of dangerous situation if we can help it. I'm going to say no. Let's see what happens. Trusted scholars begin researching the customs of the kingdom of Enkal, while a delegation of brave diplomats leaves for the Crimson Keep to ask for an official audience. Many, however, fear we are leaving our borders unprotected. Our decision to investigate the culture of the kingdom of Enkal sparked the keen interest of our scholars, fascinated by their unusual customs and habits. After the initial diplomatic incident, our diplomats have been formally invited to the northern court of the Crimson Keep, where they are welcomed respectfully, but coldly. Enkal is a small but highly competitive society. Their clans constantly struggle for leadership, and their warrior kings must display continuous strength to stay in power, which explains their exceptional military prowess. While some might regard them as barbarians, they are organized and disciplined. Serving in the army is the highest honor to them, reserved to those of proven might and impeccable courage. Though few in number, they prove a formidable foe. Still, they are honorable. As long as they are not provoked, they should pose no danger. See, now that's exactly what we wanted to know. That is perfect. That is wonderful, wonderful intelligence that we've just gained there. And now we can be a little bit more, peaceful, and we kind of know what's going on. So that's really, really nice in my opinion. Anyway, so know thy enemy, number 1. Unfortunately, we can't do that in the demo. I would have loved to, but we can't, unfortunately. So let's see. Let's do know thy enemy, number 2, and see what happens. The Skarams, a nomadic people from the unclaimed lands near the northern mountains, drink a beverage made with goat milk fermented with a secret herb. Our soldiers are eagerly purchasing it, and the guild mistress would like to import it, thinking it could be a successful product. However, it is strongly alcoholic, and some question its wholesomeness. Do we import the milk-based Skaram beverage? I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't see the problem with it. I mean, if people actually, I mean, to be fair, they're probably not going to drink it in moderation, are they? Probably not. So we're gonna import it anyway. Our merchants make agreements with a few barbaric producers to supply their strong drink to our kingdom. The people rejoice and launch a celebratory fair about the northern culture, while scholars scorn such low pleasures of the flesh. Okay. Goat milk became increasingly popular, and the high demand activated a precious trade channel with the barbaric Skaram tribes of the Brown Hills. Alright, well, I think that's perfectly fine. I mean, I don't see the issue with it. But yeah, anyway, let's do Know Thy Enemy number 3. Some of our soldiers have developed an admiration for the strength of the Ankali warriors. Some would like to adopt Askadar, their peculiar training regimen. Many recruits, however, believe it to be too harsh. Do we train our soldiers with Askadar, the Enkal training regimen? Oh, I would like to do that, actually. I think that would be fun. Here's the thing, okay? In my opinion, my forces are probably going to be too soft to be able to do this. But I'm really interested to see what it is. Because if we say no, then we're probably not going to find out what it is, right? So I'm going to say yes. Just to see, alright? Just to see. The Enkali believe it is everyone's moral duty to strive for self-perfection. Askadar is a sophisticated philosophy rather than a simple martial training method. To the dismay of recruits, it involves hand-to-hand combat while naked in the snow and running and climbing in full equipment. Adapting to such a harsh routine will take time. While many recruits complained about the unnecessarily harsh new training conditions upon their inception, thanks to Askadar, our troops definitely became more fit. Okay, well, that seems to have worked out quite nicely, I guess, kind of, right? I thought it was going to be something a little bit more weird, I guess, a little bit weirder, but no. Anyway, that's probably going to be it for this episode. If you would like to check out The King's Dilemma, there is a link in the description. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.